Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Mike.
And I'm Duran.
And this is Before We Forget. So, Duran, before we forget, you got a question?
I do have a question. The question I have is, why do we go after what we lack at home?
Oh, go deeper.
So what I mean is, when you are lacking something in your relationship or at home, essentially, we go out to get what we're lacking, right? That's a human instinct to go and get something that you want or something that you like. Humans are essentially hunters. They like to go and grab and go and get things. So essentially, if you are unhappy, you're gonna go seek that happiness, right?
Right.
So why is it that when we go after those things that we lack, why do we go so hard to obtain it? So hold on. We come up with that phrase that I want to have my cake and eat it too.
Right.
Now I want you to respond.
So I think what it is that as you get accustomed or you get used to the things that happen more often, like the hugs or the kisses or the like spouse that's helping you clean around the house or things like that. I feel like we get used to that. And a spotlight is kind of put on the things that we want that's not happening. And I really think it's just a thing of we as humans don't look at the big picture. Like my wife isn't gonna be able to like realistically do everything that I want, right? But if she's doing 90%, why would I focus on the 10%? Well, because a lot of people focus on like, oh man, I really want this 10%. I really want this 10%. And I don't think it's really necessary. I think that's selfish, and I think that's 10% or trying to go after that 10% when you have 90% is stupid. I mean, honestly, and I think a lot of people end up losing good things because they're chasing now if you in a relationship and they're doing 20% of what you want or what you need in this instance, then okay, go after the other 80%. But I think a lot of people, and especially in this world today where they're like, oh, you should be able to get everything you want and he should be doing this or she should be doing this. Like it builds it up that every single person in this world has to be perfect and your spouse has to be perfect for you. And really it's a work. Y'all have to work together to create this union, create this lifestyle, create what you want.
So as a person that's been on both sides of the spectrum of lacking, and as somebody who has wanted something and didn't get it, I can say that I can't tell you why people go as hard as they do to obtain those things. I think it's a feeling that you get that makes you feel special or makes you feel like important. So sometimes we feel forgotten. So yeah, it might be that 90-10 split, but it's just like having 99.9%. Yeah, you killed basically all the germs with that 1%. It's real powerful. It's real strong. And sometimes you can't just shake that off. It's not something easily you can just put down or something you can forget about because it's something that you want. And anytime you want something, it developed as a thought. And so eventually your thoughts evolve. Your thoughts evolve into feelings. Your feelings evolves into a desire. Your desire evolves into needs and wants. And then your brain processes it based off of how big of a desire or need it is to you.
But do you feel like that desire or that need gets bigger because your other needs are met? And this one isn't. Like say your top 5 things on this list, right? Are your wife needs to have sex with you, and we'll say in this order. She needs to have sex with you. She needs to be able to like cook dinner because you know you cook. you don't really care if she works or not, because you feel like you could do that or whatever, right? If y'all have kids, she needs to help out with the kids, like be active in their life as well with you. What else can we say is on there? She needs to make sure that since she's not working, the house is clean when you get home, because you shouldn't have to work all day and then come home and clean all day, right? And then let's just throw a number 5 out there and just say like she needs to be personable and like out. You like to go out and hang out with friends, so you want her to come with you everywhere. So like she needs to be active and in your life too, right? So say she does the top 4, but she doesn't actually come out and hang out with you and your friends all the time. Like it's a couples event. You might end up going solo because she's tired because she's doing other stuff. Like, does that one part of you really want her with you and you really want her to be out there overshadow the fact that she's doing everything else in your list?
I don't think that it particularly overshadows the other stuff. What I'm saying is the need for that one thing is just that strong. It's just you have to have it. It's something that it's like I don't know. I can't explain exactly what it is, but that's how people function. People are tangible. People deal in feelings. So logically, when you put it like that, you're thinking of it in a strategic way. Like, no, well, I got this, and I'm not gonna ruin this. But that's not how that scenario breaks down. That scenario breaks down real fast into a man. It's an opportunity to get something that I wanted to get, and I'm gonna just do it. Whoever come with it, come with it. You're not thinking about the consequences. You're not thinking about anything else. Essentially, you are being selfish. That's exactly the sentiment I'm giving. So we already know that spectrum is you're not gonna trade something in if it's worth 90%, and then I got something that's only worth 10%, and I'm gonna go trade it in. Obviously, financially, that's a horrible decision. But when it comes to relationships and feelings, that's different because you jump into that red zone for that, and you see that every single day, and that's something that you don't particularly know how to explain because each person is different. Each person goes after that is how you mentioned that 10% a different way.
See, but I feel like people put themselves in situations like that can either get them that 10% or not. Like if we're being honest, like I think very few situations where people like let's just say the grass is greener. People cheat, right? And they have everything that they need at home, but there's let's just say the wife had kids and she's not having sex with him for the last 4 months. So he go out and cheat, right? I feel like he put himself in a situation to cheat because like me mentally, if I know like if I ain't had sex in 4 months, like if my wife whistled at me, I'd be like, boop, let's go. Right? So why would I go put myself in a situation where I'm around women who potentially want to do something with me? Because I feel like we we talked about like men being oblivious to some things, but like if a woman's flirting with you in a certain aspect, like, bro, she's a little more friendly than I thought. Like, I have female friends who don't flirt with me, and I know they're not flirting with me. And then I've seen it before where I'm like, that seemed a little flirty, so I'm gonna back away or step away. I'm not gonna put myself in a situation where like they can meet that other 10%. And I feel like some people leave that door open. I'm gonna voice it to my spouse. I'm gonna give them the chance to work on it. And I feel like a lot of people are scared of that communication aspect. Talk to them. Let them know, like me and you talked the other day, and we talk about like communicating and like how important it is for husband and wife to communicate and have these conversations. And like they can't expect us to be a mind reader, or we can't expect them to be a mind reader. And it's hard and it's difficult because your pride get in the way, or you get upset, or you get angry because you're like, man, this 10% ain't here, and I really want this 10%, and I don't want to go nowhere else for this 10%, but you, like, whether it's a movie night or a date night or whatever it is, or sex. Like, all I wanted is from you. But they don't see it that same way. And it's frustrating. But it's having those conversations. It's making sure that, like, we're adults. We can have these conversations. I don't have to go out and see Becky with the good hair in order to get this other 10%. I agree with you. I think people are just selfish nowadays. But, like, the world teaches us to be selfish. Like, oh, if he's not giving you what you need, then somebody else will. Oh, if she don't give you that, there's plenty of fish in the sea. And it's like, water the grass where you at, dog. I think we had it before. The neighbor's grass might look green, but when you go over there, you're gonna realize that shit is sod. They planted that. They paid a lot of money for that sod, and they got to try to take care of it just like you got to try to take care of your grass. Because if they don't, it's gonna be brown in a week.
Well, again, I'm still posing that you do have to do all those things. You do have to have those conversations, but in reality, that doesn't happen, and alternative roads are taken. So when the alternative road is taken, I'm still asking, why is that lack so strong? And yeah, you can't put yourself in those situations for the sun and the moon and the stars to align, but those are also unpredictable situations because somebody coming up to you or you being somewhere can suddenly become like a death trap. When the mouse go across a mousetrap, you don't know it's a mousetrap, it just sees food, right?
Right.
So essentially, it's just like that. It's designed to be that way. Yes, people are selfish, and the whole act is selfish. I'm not justifying it in no means, but I'm saying that it does happen. People do fall into that trap or the allure of that happening. And sometimes it's a slow burn. It ain't something that happens instantly. Yeah, you can walk away from it. Some people do walk away from it. But that just because you walked away from it don't mean it's gonna go away.
My whole motto has always been like, you're supposed to give your all. And in what you're in, you're supposed to give your all. Right? And so to go out and give a piece of you to somebody else because you feel like you're missing that at home.
These terms you're using is real specific.
No, I'm not, and I'm saying when I say a piece of you, I mean whether that's emotional, whether that's physical, like you're still giving time and energy and spirit and a piece of you really to somebody else because it's not being met at home, right? Or with your current spouse or whatever. Like, and my whole thing is just like, I think I said it before, you water the grass or you at. Like, people are very selfish. People are very woe is me. Like, I need to get mine instead of ours. Like, how can we work on building us to make sure we're good? How can we work on like growing us as a unit? And some units don't work out. Sometimes you realize y'all both positives and you ain't no positive and negative. And so it's just all like messing up. But you can't do that if you're worried about I. What did coach say? There's no I in team.
It ain't, but it is in uniform.
Well, on that note, y'all need to let us know what y'all think. Like, comment, subscribe before we forget the podcast. And I guarantee there's going to be a part 2 to this whole week's topics. We out.
We out.